How's it going, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be going over what my training, my nutrition, and my supplementation is currently looking like at the beginning of this year, 2023, and also what are my goals exactly, right? Because basically, I believe everything in your life needs to be in alignment with your goals. Okay, your goals are the foundation that serve the direction for which all of your nutrition, your behavioral patterns, and the books that you read, and all these things should follow. Okay, so let's start with what are my goals? Well, my first and most foundational goal is to build my personal training business at my current job that I have, the current gym that I'm working for, and to focus on building relationships and building reputation and rapport, and basically to become the best freaking trainer at this facility, actually, and really to develop my career and basically get extremely rich doing what I enjoy doing and helping other people become their greatest versions. That's basically my biggest goal. And so any and every way that I can help other people become their greatest versions, and obviously make an amazing living doing so, that is my major foundational goal. That's my career. The great thing is, this goal, my career, actually kind of fortifies everything else I'm doing as well. Since I work at a gym, I always have time and access to lifting weights and getting stronger, as well as building my conditioning, because I always have those things around me. And I'm basically teaching people how to exercise and train. So I'm basically getting some low-level aerobic work throughout the day doing so. And this forces me, it makes me have a reason, and it forces me to constantly study nutrition science, behavioral science and psychology, and the science of psychology and behavioral change, as well as learning new exercises and new training methods and training modalities and things, to get different people to their different stated goals. And so for me, I freaking love what I do. And it basically this career path is definitely in line with everything else. So anyway, beyond that, after my career goals, which I have very specific numbers and things I'm trying to hit with those, but I don't want to tell those things out loud. Secondary goal is to basically I'm going to be competing again in the summertime in jujitsu. I just got promoted to blue belt in December last month, and one of my clients, actually, I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically I have a sponsorship now for competing in jiu-jitsu. And so this is something that I've been talking about in some of my other videos, is that, you know, when you have the right mindset and the right approach to life, the right belief system, but the right mindset about how reality works, you have to understand that finances and opportunities and things, they will come in ways that you don't expect. They'll come indirectly, almost as if the universe brings you the things that you need to succeed when you have the right mindset and mentality and energy and things. Okay, you watch my videos on the law of attraction to understand that. But anyway, by basically working in this environment and whatnot, one of my clients is actually sponsoring me here for this tournament. So let's put it that way. And he's an amazing person, by the way, awesome guy. And so so since I have a sponsorship now for jiu-jitsu, I will be competing in the summertime. And that means, now I'm basically training jiu-jitsu about 5 days a week, sometimes 6 or 7. And I have a lot of other friends who want to help me to develop my technique and things, who are very, very highly skilled jiu-jitsu practitioners. I actually have a client or two who are wanting to develop my skills and give me private lessons, as well as some friends that are going to help me get there as well. So all of these people are amazing, and they're my partners and my part of my team, and we're going to win those medals together. So heavy focus on jujitsu this year, training jiu-jitsu 5 days a week or whatever or more. And I'm going to try to go to the open mats and some of these other things too. So there's going to be days where I train twice a week. And, a lot of people, so it can be very challenging to train jiu-jitsu with such a heavy work schedule, especially if you're a personal trainer, because all of my clients and things, my schedule is literally designed to where I'm training around those times where jiu-jitsu classes are normally open. So it can be hard, but I'm making it work. And the good thing is the classes I'm going to are around lunchtime, like 11:30, and it's with, like, my teammates are world champions. My professor is a world champion, and his professor is a multi-time world champion and a coach of multi-world champions. So I'd say that this is going to be pretty awesome. So that's what I'm doing, jiu-jitsu, and then also getting stronger. Okay. And I don't really have any direct specific goals as far as my strength training is concerned, but I do believe I'm going to be strong enough to compete in powerlifting and do pretty well. So that'll be something that kind of, I think, just naturally manifests over time as a result of just proper strength training for jiu-jitsu, which a lot of people kind of get wrong, unfortunately. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So yeah, so these are my goals, develop my personal training career, help other people become their greatest versions, and then make my sponsor proud and happy by winning, by using his appreciating his sponsorship so much that I win gold medals and beat everyone in the competition. And so I got to be training lots of jiu-jitsu and then getting really, really strong with heavy barbell movements. So let's get into what my nutrition and all these things are looking like to support these goals. So we will start with my nutrition. Let's start with the nutrition. I'm eating almost exclusively meat now. I've cut out most of the carbohydrates because I found that they don't really give me much of a benefit. And I found that I seem to be very sensitive to insulin spikes. I don't know exactly why. I don't think I have diabetes or anything. I just have noticed, and this has always been the case for me. Before I ever went carnivore or low carb or any of that, I used to eat a lot of carbs a lot of the time. And I've always been extremely active. Those who know my history, I was never seemed diabetic or whatever. I have been... Whatever. I don't want to get too deep into my history, but so I don't even do the honey very often anymore. Like I used to target like a couple tablespoons of honey before training. These days I'll do that once in a while. But I prefer to only do carbs after training. If I do any carbs at all, I might do a little bit of honey after training. I might do a little bit of potatoes or usually fruit. I'll usually only do fruit after training. I found that to be an amazing complement to my animal-based diet. But I don't see any need to really try to get carbs in. If I don't eat any carbs at all throughout the day, it doesn't matter. So training my heavy lifting multiple times a day, jiu-jitsu multiple times a day, and then whatever carbs I eat are just incidental. They're just because I felt like eating them. They're not because I felt like I need them. I almost every single day now. Okay, I've moved on from the 2 pounds of meat a day. I now eat around 3 to 4 pounds of meat a day. I have found the number one most important thing for me, and I found that this seems to be the case for everybody else, but most people can't do it because they have limiting beliefs around animal protein and things. I have found the more animal protein that I eat, the better off I am, the better I feel, the better I perform. I have found this to be an amazing performance enhancer. And most people are just very ignorant about protein metabolism, about the role of carbs in the diet, and all these other things. It's funny to me because even people who follow like animal-based nutrition principles, they wrongfully assume that if you eat that, first of all, it's possible to eat too much protein. It's never been demonstrated in a study that you can eat too much protein beyond what's used to build your body. In fact, protein overfeeding studies, they actually show increase in lean muscle tissue gain in direct proportion to the more protein you eat, even beyond 1 gram per pound of lean mass, which most people tell you is bullshit and this and that. That doesn't seem to be the case. But a lot of these people, they'll tell you that eating more protein just turns to blood glucose. But then when you try to have a discussion with them and you ask them questions, they kind of start to fumble all over their words and get really confused. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Eating 4 pounds of meat a day does not increase my blood glucose beyond its normal blood glucose levels. Eating excess protein does not just turn into carbs. It doesn't do that. Physiologically, there's no study that actually shows that dietary protein does such a thing to a significant degree. However, I have found more energy. I have found my body fat starts to go down the more protein I eat. I seem to get leaner. It's like the more meat I eat, the leaner I get. It's really weird. But most importantly, the better my mood is and really my sleep. I have noticed when I eat under 2 grams of protein per pound of lean mass per day, my sleep starts to go downhill. And I start to get more irritated, and I can't tolerate much. I can't tolerate much stress, I've noticed, whether it's work stress, focus, or sleep, or training. But I've noticed when I eat 2 grams per pound of ideal body weight, okay, it's around 300 to 400 grams of protein a day, I feel fucking amazing. And and even better than that. So I'm trying to eat about 4 pounds of meat a day on average. And it's either in the form of ground chicken, ground beef, ground pork, or it's in the form of just pork steaks, like lean pork steaks. I've noticed. Whatever I can afford that lets me get that protein goal in and is still delicious. There's some days where I just say fuck it and I'll go to a lunch buffet. And because I train jujitsu now during the lunchtime anyway, I can literally get 3 pounds of meat from that buffet, and the buffet's only like $12. So I end up spending about the same price I would get if I was to buy all that meat at the grocery store. And now eggs are incredibly expensive. It's like $5 a dozen. So when I go there, I can get the hard-boiled eggs and get a whole fucking dozen in addition to all that meat I'm eating. So I'm literally getting my money's worth. Eating at a buffet these days is not really much more expensive than eating from the store. But that's because I'm smart, unlike most people who just when they go to buffets, they get a bunch of bread and stupid-ass fucking shit. But anyway, man, I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, it's not an IQ problem, is it? I don't think it is, but, yeah. Sorry, y'all. Don't mean to sound condescending, but I don't even know these days. Anyway, so yeah, 4 pounds of meat a day, that's my fucking diet. I might eat one meal around 2 o'clock after I'm done jiu-jitsu training and strength training. And then I'll eat another meal when I get home at the end of the day, which might be around 9 p.m. Some days I'll just eat 4 pounds of meat once a day. It might be when I get home at 9 p.m. later on that day. And sometimes I'll eat about 2 giant cans of tuna. So it comes out to around 120 grams of protein. It's about maybe 12 ounces of tuna, actually, if I'm on the go. And I'll mix it with some hot sauce or something. Take that to work with me or whatever. in between clients, and that's amazing. I've also been experimenting with egg white protein in the mornings, mixing it with my coffee and tonic herbs, and I found that that's amazing. Again, I found when I start my day with protein in my coffee, no carbs or any of that. Carbs is the opposite. I actually feel very high energy, very stable, calm, and it removes the jitteriness that coffee normally gives me, which I think is actually a blood sugar response, actually, or an insulin response. I think it just raised my insulin too much, actually, is probably what it is. I don't know. But I've noticed starting my day off with egg white protein mixed in my coffee with my tonic herbs, I feel amazing. And then I get, a pound or so of meat after training around 3 p.m. 2 p.m. actually, because I start training clients at 3 again. And then before I go to bed, I get that 2 to 3 pounds of meat again or whatever. And yeah, this has been awesome because I've found that I cannot fucking breathe if I eat dairy. I am definitely allergic to dairy. And it's really fucking sad when you're out there trying to train jujitsu with a bunch of world champions and your conditioning is fine cardiovascularly, but you can't breathe through your nose. You have like extreme sinusitis due to dairy for whatever reason. I've noticed when I cut out the whey protein and cut out dairy and stuff, my cardio is so much better because I can actually breathe through my nose. It's really awesome. So I'll do egg white protein if anything. Yeah, so that's mostly my diet. And really the egg white protein and the tuna is not an everyday thing. It's been something I've been experimenting with. I have 4 pounds of meat cooking in my crock pot throughout the day, and I'll eat a little bit as the day goes on, and by the end of the day I eat it all. So sometimes some fruits, usually frozen peaches or some mixed fruit or whatever I feel like. I'm not really consistently eating fruit or carbs or whatever. I'm pretty consistently in ketosis. Another thing that I've been making sure I'm consistent with, I eat 5 grams of sodium per day, non-negotiable. Okay, it's a meme from Jason Blaha. Non-negotiable. 5 grams of sodium a day. That comes out to around 1 tablespoon of total salt throughout the day. Tablespoon, not teaspoon. That's a lot of salt to the uninitiated and the people that are deficient. The people that are scared of salt and therefore suffer all the horrible side effects of low salt intake, unfortunately for them. So start my day off with about a half a teaspoon of like Redmond's real salt. I might do a whole teaspoon. Maybe do a little potassium and magnesium with it. Just depends. And then after training, I'll do another whole teaspoon usually. And then before I go to bed, another teaspoon. And that yields me around 6 grams of sodium per day. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. It just depends. But usually about a whole teaspoon per serving. And I found that I don't drink as much water as I used to because my body's actually retaining it now. Wow. So all these people who suffer on these like low carb diets and stuff, it's usually low salt intake. Or people go on a whole foods diet and then they wonder why they feel like crap. It's because you're eating too much fiber now and not enough salt. So anyway, I bypass all that. I'm just like, fuck all these people. They're bloated, farting all the time, and they feel low energy and malnourished. They're under-eating protein, under-eating salt, eating too much fiber, and too much foods, like bullshit consumption that doesn't actually help them. Like the fucking vegetables and the pasta and crap you're eating, it's not really giving you much essential shit. It's basically giving you essential shit. It's not actually essential. Unessential shit. All the shits you're taking are unessential. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather not eat like a weakling. So yeah, all I eat is 4 pounds of meat a day. Sometimes a little fruit. Tonic herbs and coffee in the morning. Sometimes with egg white protein. All right. And so you can learn a lot more about that way of eating by reading this book. I'm not a carnivore diet person. I'm not like a carnivore diet fucking whatever. And I don't tell my clients to eat that way unless it's warranted or if they bring it up, actually. I'll recommend some books to them. I usually don't start with a carnivore diet book, or if I do, I start with the caveat telling them, hey, you don't need to be a carnivore. But For those of you who are interested in the philosophy behind it, you can read this book. And you can also read the book, The Carnivore Diet by Dr. Sean Baker. But for me, I prefer the book, the Fiber Menace is a really good book on that. But yeah, so let's continue. So now let's talk about my herbs, okay? So my herbs. You can read a bit about Chinese sonic herbs by reading this book here by Ron Teagarden. I've also recommend the book Adaptogens by David Winston, but understand that a lot of the idea of adaptogens has not been proven in studies, and it's not how all those herbs actually work. But it's a good introduction to that kind of stuff. I right now am taking a new stack. Okay, I'm experimenting. So for this year, I've been really getting into ginseng. I love ginseng. Here's my current kind of herb stack that I'm working with, okay? Coffee, ground coffee. I add about 3 or 4 tablespoons of yerba mate to about 4 to 8 tablespoons of coffee, depending on how I'm feeling. I'm still experimenting with a dose of that. Brew that shit using a coffee maker that automatically brews coffee for me at the right time every morning because I don't have enough time to wait for coffee to be brewed. So I have an automatic coffee maker now. Because I'm like really busy all the time now. I mix my coffee with I blend it in a blender with Eleuthero, also known as Siberian ginseng, as well as I've been using Rhodiola rosea, the 3% rosavins, 1% solidroside standardized extract that is used in most studies. I'll do 250 milligrams of that. Okay. But as I mentioned in some of my videos, you have to kind of maybe go on and off with it because some people build tolerance, and also over time, if you take a high dose like 500 milligrams, it can build up in your system. So I generally have been lately taking 250 milligrams a day in the mornings. Sometimes I'll take a second dose in the evening or in the afternoon, but I have noticed it seems to interfere with my sleep quality. So I've been kind of experimenting with that. And then I was doing a red Panax ginseng, just the whole herb, actually the whole root. I was grounding it myself and blending it with coffee. But I recently got Nootropics Depot. They have a 40% ginsenoside ginseng leaf extract. And so I really wanted to try that. So I've been trying that lately. I think it's like maybe 250 milligrams of it. I don't have a milligram scale, but I eyeball it because I have a general idea of how much milligrams it would be. And I know the side effects of too much versus too little ginseng anyway. So yeah, so I take about 250 milligrams of the ginseng leaf extract from Nootropics Depot, and I'm still trying to figure out what dose is good and what dose is best. I also have been taking ginkgo biloba. I'll take about 250 milligrams, give or take, of the ginkgo biloba extract from Nootropics Depot, and then what else do I take? I'm getting more Hyperion herbs, Polyericus black ant, delivered to me actually right now. I bought a whole pound of it, so I'm waiting for that to come through. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think for now that's it. I think there's a couple other things I might take every now and then, but they're not coming to my mind for some reason. But really my thing, oh yeah, cordyceps. What am I talking about? So obviously, so I right now I'm taking about a tablespoon of the bulk supplements cordyceps extract because I found, for one, it's really cheap to be able to take more. For two, it's a different strain and different extract than what I normally get from Hyperion herbs, And I've noticed it seems to dramatically improve my top-end strength performance when I would take it when I ran out of Hyperion herbs. So it's an experiment I'm doing, and I'm trying to see how it works. I feel like it also improves my calmness and kind of feelings and symptoms of high testosterone. And there is evidence that your free testosterone to cortisol ratio improves with cordyceps supplementation, especially if augmented with reishi, but I'm not taking reishi. So it's something I've been experimenting with lately. Although I'll tell y'all, definitely the Hyperion herbs cordyceps is superior. It's just a lot more expensive, so I only take it in smaller doses, and I'll time it before my hardest training sessions if I need like a low volume, high potency type of extract. So it's all in the timing and the purpose. So anyway, beyond that, that's pretty much the majority of my herbs or supplements right now that I can kind of think of. So I'm trying, the whole goal here is, so ginkgo biloba, I've noticed, seems to dramatically improve my ability to focus, my ability to kind of just start doing something and get it done. It definitely improves my cognition and my ability to recall words and kind of get into a flow state and things. I can complete tasks all the way through a lot more effectively taking ginkgo biloba. And there's been a lot of kind of research and anecdotal reports of ginkgo biloba being a godsend, basically. Having efficiency or efficacy for ADHD or symptoms of ADHD. And so for me, I've consistently seen that that's the case. If I take a ginkgo biloba extract with high bioavailability, and I'll tell y'all specifically when I take it in an alcoholic tincture form, specifically the herb farm form I was taking in for a while, but I have to take a high dose, like 4 full dropperfuls, which is very expensive after a while. I think a tincture of ginkgo biloba alcoholic extract would only last me like 4 days when I was taking it at high enough doses. I've noticed amazing results on my ability to focus, and also I think it boosts my circulation and cardiovascular endurance, and I think that's because of its blood flow improvements, which haven't really been proven per se. So yeah, there seems to be an improvement in dopamine and dopamine and prefrontal cortex, as well as blood flow to the brain with ginkgo biloba supplementation, and it seems to improve the functioning of the acetylcholine system as well, and potentially antioxidant benefits specifically for combating free radicals in the brain. So I love ginkgo biloba, and I think it's great. And I found it seems to stack well. Ginkgo biloba stacked with green tea extract, stacked with mucuna purins. I've actually found great synergy. And so I'm probably going to occasionally take a tiny dose of mucuna purins on days where I really feel like I need it. Like if I really want to read a shit ton of books and knock out a bunch of work and do some studying, and record videos too, I might take like a low dose mucuna with some green tea. Specifically, I'll do matcha or maybe an extract, a ECGC extract, epicane catechin gallate from green tea extract, and ginkgo biloba, and yeah, good shit. So another thing I'm kind of experimenting with is Nootropics Depot. They have a rhodiola rosea 3% salidroside extract, which is different than the common 3% rosavin extract. So I've been experimenting with that just because, you know, to get free shipping, I needed to spend $10 more. So I was like, fuck it. I'll just get the rhodiola, because otherwise I would have spent $10 for shipping anyway. So, yeah. And since I already use rhodiola and I'm interested in how those turn out, that's what I'm taking. The rhodiola 3% salidroside extract, so far, I have just noticed it seems to be more calming for me, and it seems to improve my ability to focus, and also I think it brings up feelings of sentimentalness and nostalgia, and feelings of empathy for others, kind of like a serotonin improvement type thing. So that's what I noticed. I think the 3% Rosavins extract of rhodiola is more energizing and stimulatory, at least in my experience. But other people have mentioned the opposite. So let's see. Oh yeah, and in regards to my diet, I'm going to just allow myself to be a little bit more lenient now. I'm I'm over the dogma that you need to be super strict of ketosis to like maintain ketosis and shit. You don't just get bumped out of ketosis and then you need to spend another two weeks readapting. That doesn't happen. What happens is basically you run out of liver glycogen by fasting or eating a low carb diet and then exercising. And then when you refill your liver glycogen, let's say you eat a piece of cheesecake after a couple of months on ketosis, you'll still stay in ketosis because that cheesecake is only going to refill a little bit of liver glycogen. Really, it's probably not even going to be stored as glycogen. It's just going to be used as blood sugar and burned off really fast. And then you're still in ketosis. Your body's still adapted to burning ketones. So the idea that you need to be on a strict keto diet and if you fucking cheat, then you got to keto adapt. That's complete nonsense. It's false. Not how physiology works. Once you're keto adapted, you can eat a shit ton of carbs for an entire day, and you might just feel like crap, might have a hangover the next day or something, but you're not going to be like broken for 2 weeks and then need to keto adapt. It's not how it works. So, and also I'm fasting a lot of days too. Like right now I haven't eaten anything at all, and it's almost 3 p.m., but I have 4 pounds of meat in my slow cooker I'm about to munch out on after I'm done this video, actually. So, yeah, and that creates more ketones on top of all the training that I fucking do. I'm in deep ketosis most of the time. So, unless I do the protein for breakfast or whatever. But yeah. A lot of being healthy and being awesome and performing well is doing the basics and doing the basics so well that the complicated bullshit doesn't matter. You do the basics so well that your health your program becomes easy and simple. So I do the shit that matters, 20% of methods that yields you 80% of results. I do the shit that really matters, and I do that really well, and I don't worry about the other shit. That's what I do. And I've been able to reverse all my illnesses and just perform at the highest level and be awesome as a result. But most people that are really sick, they focus entirely on minutia and they want to optimize everything. And meanwhile, like they're clean and jerking 135 pounds still, even though they're 200-pound body weight. And they're like, yeah, form is everything and this and that. I'm like, bro, like, how about you just fucking get strong? They're like, no, I got to get my sleep perfect and obsess over my sleep and my circadian rhythm. And I got to, like, you know, have my macros on check and all this. And meanwhile, it's like they're fat, they're weak, they're stressed. And I'm over here beasting out, feeling awesome, getting success in all areas, getting stronger. I don't worry. All right. So anyway, let's continue without the rant. Yeah. So I'll let myself eat some carbs here and there if I really, really feel like it. Some days I'll go out with friends and get a sushi buffet. I really don't care. That's what I did leading up to my gold medal win last year. So last year I learned from my mistakes. I had one time where I just believed I was going to win gold, and I trained really hard every day, and I did what I fucking loved, and I enjoyed the process. I ate mostly meat. I targeted carbs or when I felt like it, and then I would go out on a buffet with my friends after I was done cutting weight, actually. And I learned I was going to compete in the 215-pound class, and sushi buffet didn't help me get more weight, but I still beat everyone. And then I had another situation, and then later on that year, I competed under really strict guidelines where I'm like, I got to do this game plan and everything else has to work perfectly. I told my mom to stay at home because I didn't want her to like ruin my vibe, which just didn't help, you know, and honestly, it would have been better with her there maybe. I don't know. Me and my brother had a lot of fun actually either way, so whatever. And I followed a really strict diet routine and my herbs had to be on point and all this shit. And like I won silver, and I realized later on it was the strict obsession with being perfect and obsession with everything has to go according to plan. That actually fucked me over. So this year I'm taking a different approach now. So anyway, following the 4 pounds of meat a day thing, and then letting everything else fall where it may, and just not eating foods that fuck me over. All right, so now let's talk about strength training and jujitsu and shit like that, okay? So here's what my training looks like. And this is going to be interesting, okay? This is really how you got to find, this is why most people don't find effective shit. All right, so jujitsu. Training jujitsu 5 days a week minimum, and I'm going in there, and I have an idea of what I want to work on. The majority of the time is live positional rolling, okay? So I find areas of my game that I need to get better at, okay? Let's say I need to get better at my passing close guard, for example. I will look through this book, Jiu-Jitsu University, and I will look into their sections that they have on passing the guard and defending the guard and close guard and this and that. And I'll really study it deeply. I might look at some instructional videos and stuff on that position. And then that whole week or whole sessions, I will spend I'll go into my jiu-jitsu class, and we'll do the technique of the day and stuff like that. And then when rolling happens, we have like 5-minute rounds rolling usually. I will have everybody start and close guard with me. And if I'm working on passing, I will be on top. And I'll say, look, this is what I'm working on. I'm competing and most people already know. They know how I work, how I'm doing things and stuff. And so that's what we'll do. And usually they're fine with it because they want to get better at their close guard and stuff like that too. And so then we do pass or sweep from close guard, and I work my passing, and they get to work their close guard too. And then and sometimes, especially some people, they're like, no, let's just roll. I'll be like, okay, we'll roll, but we're gonna start with me on top and close guard, and you on bottom, and then we'll go from there. That way I could still work my passing, and then, we're rolling, so it's still a mutual exchange of value. But the main thing is I'm going in there with the intention of improving, and it's specific practice, because a lot of people, and this is a big problem. And for me, I've been doing this for like a year now. This is how I've been training, and I have skyrocketed my skill. As a white belt, blew past all the blue belts in a short period of time by training intentionally. The main reason people don't get better in jiu-jitsu, or why their progress is slow, and I think this happens in kickboxing too, is because they're focusing on winning their rolls instead of focusing on getting better at technique in live situations. And it's not so much technique that I'm worried about. It's I'm focusing on getting better at positions. I need to improve my close guard with the intention of I need to get better at submitting people from close guard, or I need to get better at sweeping people from close guard, or I need to get better at passing people's close guard, or not getting swept. It's like, what position do I want to focus on, and then what aspect of that position do I want to emphasize? And that's how I got way fucking better in a short period of time. And it takes away that anxiety. People have like performance anxiety. They're like, oh, I got to win this roll, or this guy's a really hard roll. I got to be on my A game. And you can see on people's faces where they're like, it's a life or death situation. They look really like scared. Like there's this anxiety on their face, and they're breathing really hard. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going 35, 50%. I'm just trying to like improve my game. And this person's like an all out effort to try to kill me and shit. And I'm like, it's kind of interesting. Meanwhile, though, I'm usually able to submit them without trying. But anyway, yeah, and I'm able to minimize injury and maximize my time on the mats by training intentionally. But you'll get some egotistical people sometimes who are like, no, that's bullshit. Let's just roll or whatever. And it's kind of frustrating for me because they don't realize, like, they're usually just, they've been doing jiu-jitsu for 3 years, but they've never done another sport before. So they don't know how to actually train for improvements. And they don't realize the majority of improvements you'll get is by successfully practicing a sequence of techniques in a position under pressure continuously over time. That's how you get better. You don't get better by just sparring or just playing football or just practicing technique drilling without live performance over and over again. That's how Tai Chi, Kung Fu, and Karate, which I did all of those things, they're awesome. That's where they're missing. They're missing the live aspect. They're just doing a lot of drilling of technique over and over again. And then, you'll see like people do street basketball or whatever over and over again. That's the difference between an amateur and a professional. A professional actually trains with intention. They train with the live practicing of things. So that's my mentality of training, and that's what I do. However, there's a lot of days where I go in there with the intention of just fucking shit up, and I'm just training balls to the wall, and I'll just spar. And that's to get the live training, that's to get the competition training, that's to see where I'm really at, and to challenge myself, and to get a good session. The other thing is live training from different positions is more cardiovascularly vigorous. When you just do pass or sweep over and over and over again, or you have someone start on top of you and mount, and your goal is to escape the mount position, escape the bomb position, and every time you escape you reset. That is more cardiovascularly taxing than rolling, because when you just roll and you don't train with, your intention is just to roll and to win the roll or whatever, and you're not focusing on one position, you'll have a lot more time to rest in between positions, like in side control, or like on top and closed guard, or on bottom or whatever, and you don't get as much conditioning effect. So by doing the live positional rolling, I get the best of both worlds. I get a conditioning effect. I get to keep resetting over and over again. I get to practice successful techniques and sequences and things over and over again that are actually going to score me points in competition. And I don't have to do extra running because I get a vigorous workout from, there's no time to rest. You either pass or you sweep or you get submitted. And then you reset and you do it over and over again until time runs out. That whole session is just me working and working. I'm not sitting on top of someone in side control. I'm not sitting on bottom in someone in side control. I'm not resting in closed guard. I'm working, and I'm working technique, and I'm getting cardio and conditioning, and I'm able to relax because I have a clear focus and there's less ambiguity. So that's the jiu-jitsu aspect, okay? People talk about working technique and this and that, and then they want to go redline it and go as hard as you can and balls to the wall doing jiu-jitsu, and they talk about walking through the flames and shit. And little they know, it's actually a balancing of both worlds that actually gets you better. Because most people drill and they drill and they drill, and they don't get better at technique during rolling. It doesn't transfer. So it took me a long time as a white belt to finally understand that was what I was missing. A lot of white belts and just people in general are scared of being labeled as pussies. They're like, I don't want to ask someone to just drill with me or to just do live, pass or sweep or whatever. I gotta just like kill myself and walk through the fire like these motivational speeches at the end of jiu-jitsu class tells me. I'm like, nah, how about we just like train, like we actually train. We practice our sport, So I get a shit ton of cardiovascular benefit with power and skill development from training jiu-jitsu that way. And so I do cardiovascular conditioning, but it's a little bit different than what you'll commonly see. So now let's talk about my strength training. The first thing I do, okay, and this has been something I've been doing for over a year now, is I no longer follow cookie cutter programs. I don't follow 5-3-1. I don't follow starting strength or 5x5. I did that for a while, and it was okay. But it basically what it did was help me learn what to do and what not to do. Partially because some of these programs burnt me out, actually. But what I've been doing for over a year now is following the scientific principles of strength training, reading the research on what's actually conducive to strength training benefits and also application to sport. And so they have this idea of the interference effect. claiming that doing jujitsu or cardio is going to interfere with strength training benefits. And that's not true at all. In fact, it's actually shown to be the opposite in the literature, that strength training and cardio and running and jiu-jitsu all can be done in the same day, in the same session even, and you'll still get stronger and improve in both aspects. But fatigue management, overload, specificity, and variation, principles that are outlined in this book, training with as close enough proximity to failure, above a certain percentage of my run rep max, following Renaissance periodization, Dr. Mike Israetel, James Hoffman, and Chad Wesley Smith. These are good people to follow. Specifically, Dr. Mike Israetel and Renaissance periodization. So I follow the scientific principles of strength training. And for a long time, I was just doing basic training template that was following those principles. I managed to deadlift 500 pounds, squat close to 400, really 375 pounds, ass to the grass in minimalist shoes, paused. Overhead press been lingering around 200. And it's only going to get better now because I'm going to start adding volume and stuff. By just following the scientific principles of strength training and training at a higher frequency, really. Close to Bulgarian method, but eventually I couldn't do Bulgarian because I just couldn't fit it in my schedule, believe it or not. Even though I work at a gym now, right? So the other thing, though, is I've been reading a lot of Jamie Lewis's work. And this book is an anti-programming manifesto. And so don't be fooled, though. Anti-programming does not mean that I'm not training in accordance with principles. It's not anti-principle. This book is amazing. What this book has done is open my mind to the fact that, number one, most elite level athletes, even powerlifters, a lot of the greatest powerlifters of all time, they worked on farms. They rode bicycles for long distances every day. Some of them worked as bouncers or private security officers, and I worked as a private security officer for a long time, where you're basically just walking the entire day and stuff. A lot of them were like wrestlers. A lot of the strongest people ever and the greatest athletes and wrestlers of all time, they also were very, very fucking strong. They have high volumes of training all day long. The whole idea that you can't run, you can't do lots of conditioning, you can't be a farmer and have be a construction worker or a manual labor job and do strength training and get strong is complete bullshit. What this made me learn is the hard work done consistently without being sore or without killing yourself, basically. If you combine the crazy training, like the outlandish just training principles and volume and stuff, and you take inspiration from something like this, where you see what all the greatest athletes ever do, and you combine that with reasonable principles of strength training, what you'll find is you can achieve some pretty incredible results using jiu-jitsu, using powerlifting, whatever, and overtraining is not a thing. But anyway, I've done videos that detail why I lift heavy weights, kind of like powerlifting training, to improve my jiu-jitsu performance. For those who aren't interested, leave a comment down below and I'll make another video on it. But basically, when you do strength training, it increases your maximum ceiling for force production. And when that ceiling goes up, everything from your vertical jump and your power, your speed, your explosiveness, your endurance, your sustainability to prevent injury, and all these things go up. Your ability as an athlete and a healthy human dramatically improves when you do heavy strength training above 80% of your 1 rep max. All right, close enough proximity to failure, done consistently with enough volume over time. So my strength training right now is I was just doing squat, overhead press, and deadlift for a long time. But now I am doing variations. I'm doing rack pulls, Zercher deadlifts, regular deadlifts. I'm doing power cleans, clean and jerks, snatches. I'm doing, and then I'm doing overhead barbell military press. I'm doing single arm overhead press. I'm doing cable overhead press. I'm doing barbell bench press. I'm doing closed grip bench press, floor press, weighted push-ups. I'm doing chest flies because I want to have a good-looking chest, but also it improves my ability to bear hug people and get the seatbelt position from my back mount. I'm improving my deadlift using all these deadlift variations because it improves my grip. It improves my close guard ability and my ability to just manhandle people in close guard. My squat improves my passing ability. I'm doing prowler pushes, prowler drags. I'm doing all different varieties of heavy, mostly powerlifting variations and stuff like that, supplemented with bodybuilding training to become a stronger jiu-jitsu athlete. To be stronger all around as well, to prevent injury, to improve my ability to throw people around, to look jacked and delicious, obviously. And also the big thing is, because of my being a personal trainer, if I am teaching my students, my clients and stuff, different movements, I need to have a wide variety of exercises that I know how it feels. The thing is, I've done everything I teach my clients, I have done in the past, right? But if you haven't done, for example, burpees to failure in over 2 years, you don't know how it feels. And so it's really hard to coach other people in exercise modalities that you are not familiar with or that you've forgotten how it feels. And so I'm a more effective coach and a more effective jiu-jitsu athlete, and I'm getting strong and yoked as fuck by doing a variety of different exercises in a strength training routine where the goal is to improve the squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and row and pull-up so that I can improve my ability in those movement patterns. Hinge, overhead pulling, overhead pushing, vertical pushing, vertical pulling, as well as squatting movements and quad dominant movements, etc. All of those are going to transfer onto the jiu-jitsu mats. 100% they do. They will. They absolutely do. Ask all the greatest athletes in the world except for the skinny ones who are lucky to get away with no strength training. Marcelo Garcia comes to mind. But Nicky Rodriguez and fucking Gordon Ryan are a prime example of strength and athleticism combined with technique, okay, and skill and having a good coach and philosophy. But anyway, yeah, so I'll do another kind of video exclusively detailing my strength training. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. But basically, I am programming based on principles, and it's flexible programming as I move forward using heavy use of auto-regulation of volume, intensity, and exercise variation, catering it to my schedule, as well as catering it to the fatigue and the leftover recovery effects that are necessary from my jiu-jitsu training. Programming's important, but your programming needs to be flexible. That is a huge thing I've noticed on my way to getting in better numbers in the gym. And really what people need to understand is if your program is improving your strength in the deadlift and the squat and stuff, and if the principles you follow are getting you stronger, those same principles are going to get you more, will work for cardiovascular conditioning, for sports training, and these other things. So it's a really good metric to follow if your principles are sound, that you're able to improve strength and your reps and whatnot. Really, anyone who understands the physiology of adaptation will understand that is the case. And so anyway, but my conditioning has been improving. My skill has been improving. My career has been improving. My jiu-jitsu, my strength, my progress in all aspects have been improving. And it's a direct result of my methods working. My energy, my health has been improving dramatically. And what was I going to say? The other thing I want to kind of mention is the book, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And there's a couple other books too. I think Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, and then the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. I think these are books that we all need to read as well, and they'll help to guide us towards fulfillment and success in all areas of our life that you would not find otherwise. This is how you consciously take control of your life, as you start to live in accordance with those values or those beliefs. Even though I have a scientific perspective on all of the things I do and recommend in my channel, I do follow those practices, and I feel like they really help. So anyway, this has been a hodgepodge of all of the information, all the things I'm doing right now, kind of trying to fit into an hour window because, yeah, it's how long my camera will keep going before it cuts me off. So hopefully this makes sense. There's probably a lot of things I missed here. I need to go more into detail on each of these things individually, so maybe I will over time. Let me know if you watch this and what you think about this, and I'll talk to y'all next time.